This is To the Front. Tools for today's top agents.
Hey, welcome back to the Front for this weekly episode of the podcast. Now, listen, whether you're coming on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts, man, we're grateful that you're spending a few minutes with us. Now, many weeks I will bring on guests and different coaches and things that really want to bring in some of the experts for, right? So that you can hear them, you can connect with them, and they can give you tools you can implement in your business, in your agency right away. But I really want to do an episode today about something that I'm passionate about, that I think every business owner should be passionate about as well, whether you run an insurance agency or a bakery, or heck, you just run a home. It's the principle of this, is that I will be a lifelong learner. You see, I was not a great student. In fact, I didn't like school at all. I liked my friendships and I liked the girls and all the things that came with school. I just didn't like studying. And so I remember when I jumped into business, I was a pastor at the time, then I jumped into business. Learning was like a four-letter word. But what happened is something that changed in me. Is that I had a friend who sat me down in a Waffle House and he started to ask me about what am I doing to grow as a person. And what happened is 3 years of this person mentoring me. And one of the biggest things he said is, Adam, you have to be a lifelong learner. Why? It's because the world changes. And the kind of business leader, the kind of organization leader that's effective is one who says, I never want to stop learning because I don't have all the right answers. So in today's episode, here's what I want to do. I want to do an episode called The 5 Books That You Should Read in This New Year. Now, whether you're a reader or not, I don't know, but man, these are 5 books that I have read in the last 2 months. Because as I was prepping this episode, because they are changing businesses. They're changing how you run whatever it is you're in charge of, even if you are just in charge of yourself. So I want to give you those 5 books. They are easy reads, and they're going to make you a better coach. They're going to make you a better leader. They're going to make you a better agent if you pick these books up, because I want to tell you, my life has been enriched because I've decided I was going to pick up a few of these books. So the very first book that I want to show you is a book called Essentialism. The author is Greg McKeown, and the book is powerful because it says this. It says that in our lives that you do a lot of things, but he poses a question, and it is this: how many of those things are really essential? He says one of the things that you don't have an unlimited amount of time, is time. So if that is true, then you should focus your life on just those things that are essential. You might ask, Adam, what about paying the bills and checking the emails and doing the laundry, doing all the little things that maybe don't seem essential, but they have to get done? Well, the author doesn't say just to ignore those things. What the author says to do is to say, identify those things that are essential to your life, to your mission, to how you're trying to grow your business, to how you're trying to raise your family. Put those things first so that they're not afterthoughts. And then make a list of all of the things that are non-essential, things that anybody could do. And he says the goal of your life is to figure out ways that you can enable other people to do those things. And then what do you get? You get the most precious commodity that you have is time. This was powerful for me. I read this was one of the first ones I read 2 months ago. So I just made a big list. Here are the things that are things that I don't really love to do, but they're things that I just have to do every day. And they don't really move Front Runner forward. They don't move Reviewsy forward. They don't move my family forward. And so I made a list of those things, and I set out on a mission to say, I don't want to do any of these things, but they needed to get done. So what did I do? I hired an executive assistant. She's phenomenal. She does almost every single one of those things. And I have found that I've gotten about 20 hours in my life back per week because I'm only doing those things that are essential. I promise you, you do this in your life. Pick up this book, read it. It's going to change how you do business. So the second book is kind of goes along with that. It is called Who, Not How. Now, you've probably read this book. This is a pretty popular book. It's by a guy named Dan Sullivan with Dr. Benjamin Hardy. This book is something you have to have right along with essentialism. This says this is that when you're running your business, running your family, running your personal life, most often we ask the question, how am I going to get this done? You've probably asked that question of yourself. Maybe you have a huge to-do list in the day and you're like, oh yeah, I got to do all these things. How am I going to fit it all into this day? Well, the author of Who Not How proposes it this way. You're asking the wrong question. The question you should ask is, who should be doing this? Who should be doing this? He gives this amazing illustration of Michael Jordan. Is that Michael Jordan by himself was a phenomenal basketball player, but Michael Jordan by himself couldn't win championships when he first started with the Bulls. So what did the Bulls do? They didn't go to Michael Jordan and say, hey, I need you to get a bigger how, right? Play harder, right? No, he was already a league MVP. What did they do? They put Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman around Michael Jordan. And what happens? When they staffed it with the who's, the how got done. This is going to be true for your life, for your business, is that start thinking when you need to get things done, who, not how. Phenomenal book. Pick it up. I could not highly recommend it. And it goes hand in hand with essentialism. Because if you're going to live a life where you says, I'm going to be an essentialist, I'm going to focus on my life that move my mission and objectives forward, you're going to have a lot of who's in your life. And what do you do with who's? Well, you trade you trade money for time. Right? You say, okay, I'm willing to put up some money or some resources for more time. And this can happen at various levels of, financial status, but great book, pick it up. Who, not how. The third book I want to bring to the stage is this is really cool. It's called Infectious Generosity. I think that photo that I'm putting on is kind of small, but this is the beauty about this book right here. This was written by the head of TED, if you've ever heard of a TED Talk or maybe the regional TEDx conferences. The great thing about this book is that it proposes a great question. It is, what would happen in life if you leaned in to generosity? That's generosity in multiple ways: financial generosity, time generosity, using your clout and resources on behalf of somebody else. What happens is that when a world becomes more generous, everybody gets better. Think about it. The people that you value the most in life are probably at their core giving people. Well, who are the people that you stay away from? Well, those are probably selfish people that are all in it for themselves, people that when you talk to them, they only want to talk about themselves. Well, what Infectious Generosity proposes is that if you will become a leader, a business person, a spouse, a teammate, a coworker, whatever it is, if you will say, I want to be a generous person, it will not only elevate you, it'll elevate all the people around you. And so especially if you're an agent, and you want to become a generous agent, there's no way that your business won't grow. There's no way that your life won't grow. So that's called Infectious Generosity. I would pick that up. Book number 4 was fascinating as well. This is called How Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. I first heard of Donald Miller a long time ago. He wrote a book called Blue Like Jazz, but I was actually at Half Price Books a few months ago, and I saw this I said, man, that's interesting. I like Donald Miller, but I picked up the book and it changed the way that I viewed my business. It was that so often in our businesses, don't we try to position ourselves as the hero? I've got the solution for your problem. I've got the best meal to fill your empty stomach. I've got all the answers, and we position ourselves as the hero. And the problem is, though, is that when you're trying to grow a business, your customers don't want you to be the hero. They're the hero. They're the ones trying to do whatever it is that you're trying to get them to buy or sell or whatever it is, right? They're the hero of their lives. What do they need? They need a guide. And so building a story brand walks you through the entire process of how Donald Miller and his team help companies all over the world understand the story that they're trying to tell their customers, and how do they position themselves as the guide to the heroes of the world. Because everybody's looking for a guide. Think about Star Wars. Who was Luke Skywalker's guide? Well, his guide was Yoda. And Yoda played an incredibly important role in Luke's life. But the reality is that the story's not about Yoda. It's about Luke Skywalker. So what this proposes is that businesses should stop trying to be people's heroes, right? Because people want to be their own heroes. People are really looking for guides. And if you can position your business as the perfect guide for whatever that person's looking for, your business is going to grow and take off. So that's book number 4. I told you this was going to be a quick episode. And then book number 5 is going to seem like a paradox, right? It's going to seem like it's kind of going against everything that I'm talking about. Book number 5 is called Never Enough, From Barista to Billionaire by Andrew Wilkinson. He is a Canadian citizen, and his branding firm branded popular apps that you've 100% heard of. You probably heard of Slack. That's that. He's been in business with Warren Buffett. That's also Andrew Wilkinson. But this is his memoir, and it tells a story of starting from when he was a kid all the way till he is now. His pursuit was that he wanted to be a billionaire. And what he found out is that when he got there, it wasn't enough. In fact, what he finds out is at the end of the book that the pursuit of money for money itself is kind of a bottomless pit. It's a never-ending thirst that you can satisfy. And so it's really neat. I'm not going to give the book away to you, but you'll see the conclusion that he comes to life, and it's radically transforming, right? So the first 4 books I gave you are about how to grow your business, how to grow your life. And then I'm saying, hold up, but you're never going to feel like there's enough. Here's the deal. I believe that you're going to be a better business owner, better agent, better spouse if you want to be a lifelong learner. So you're going to make sure to start to consuming books or content or podcast or whatever it is. But you're going to put it into a perspective that what you're going after isn't more money or wealth or riches. It's to live a fulfilling life. It's to leave the world a better place. It's to be incredibly generous. And when you find that, you find happiness. When you find that, you find joy. Isn't that the point of business? Isn't the point of business or running an agency or running a business is to provide for you and the ones that you love and the people that trust you as their boss? And then to store up enough wealth to be able to live comfortably or to be on mission with your life. And the point of this book is to say, boy, life is about a lot of things. And let's not make the pursuit of the money the biggest. It's an incredible tool, but money's a horrible master. So those are the 5 books. I'm going to tell you again, right, just in case. You can get them all on Amazon. You can probably grab them wherever you get audiobooks. But again, the first book was Essentialism by Greg McKeown. Second book was Who Not How by Dan Sullivan. The third book was called Infectious Generosity, by the sort of TED Talks, Chris Anderson. The fourth book was How to Build a Story Brand by Donald Miller. And the 5th book is called Never Enough. I'm convinced, agents, if you read these 5 books in the next couple of months, they're easy reads. They're 3 or 4 day reads. And believe me, I have a toddler. Okay. So I know you're like, Adam, I don't have time to read. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. How much time do you spend doom scrolling on your phone or, popping through reels? You know why I know? Because I did it. That was me. And that's still me. I still spend lots of time on that. But I started to say, you know what, during my lunches or, I'm going to, during the night where I would typically just be consuming social media, I'm going to pick up some books. And I'm a better business guy for it. I'm not the best. I'm still learning. I'm still growing, but that's what it means to be a lifelong learner. So that's it. That's the podcast episode today. 5 books that you should read as an agent, as a business owner, as a husband, a dad, a mom in the new year that you will be better for. Thanks again for tuning in. I can't wait for the next episode. We've got amazing coaches and agents and business owners to inspire you here in the new year. Hey, thanks again. Until next time, be blessed.